many times. Many times. Good food, good beer. Last time we went with Ormo, didn't we?
Yeah.
Yes, madam. What would you like to drink? We had a big meal of chicken schnitzel tonight, and it was yum. Glass of Cabernet Sauvignon, certainly. Here's the bottle, 57, only 2 in existence. On the house. Here's a 12-ounce glass. It's got 2 handles on it. I drink wine, but not a lot. You haven't drunk much wine for a long time, have you?
No.
We've got bottles of red. You're excited for the debates tonight. Oh dear.
The Scarlet. Hello, Scarlet, is it?
Yes, it's Scarlet.
Hello. I'm playing a game.
I'm more pragmatic. I am waiting for the full-out attack from one person and the other person to talk logic. If all you have, and let's talk about the similarity, if all you're doing on YouTube is attacking people, and then if you're a president doing the same, I'll probably be in bed. I'm not sure what time it's on. It is now 8:20 p.m. here. I guess they're on about 7 p.m. over there. So I'm only guessing. But it'll be early morning. I might be able to catch it.
What time is it, what, Ray?
I'm guessing about 7 p.m. at night. I'm guessing. I don't know. 9 p.m. here. All right. Well, 9 p.m. is a bit late. Both of them should be in bed with their hot chocolate by then. How much tax did you pay last year? Boy, oh boy. I found it quite interesting when the President rebuked the information but said they gathered it illegally. Hang on a sec. If it's fake news, does it matter what it is? If it's just fake news. But then he went on to say they've gathered the information illegally. Sort of a one each way there. 9 a.m. Okay, we'll be up by then. But it won't be a priority because we've got garden work to do, haven't we?
9 a.m. 9 a.m. I'll still be having my first cup of my second coffee.
Yeah, I'll probably been up for 3 hours.
Yeah, no, not me.
I know how it works. I've been in business for a very long time, Scarlett. Trust me, this is the bit that's more important. Not the amount that wasn't paid in federal tax, but the amount that was claimed on businesses, and then the same businesses used for collateral and then raising the value of them. I don't know what they called it in the US, but here that's called fraud. If you're claiming a loss on a business but then inflate the price to gain and garnish a loan, that's fraudulent. I think that's the bit he's more worried about. Yeah, the truth will come out. He's dodgy in business anyway. I knew in the late 80s that people were being screwed, contractors. Man, God, I don't know how many places failed. The one that stood out in Australia, because we've got universities that were going to be propped up privately, and that sort of ended. There's a few private universities, but Trump University came along. And he always basically said, yes, I've handpicked everybody. In fact, he hadn't handpicked anyone. And of course, Trump University, no more, like many things. Anyway, the relevance is, what do the American people think of the debates? I'm actually looking more forward to, I'll be honest, to Kamala Harris and Mike Pence. That one I'm interested in, because I don't think Mike's a great performer. You may or may not agree, but he struggles, publicly speaking. So it'll be interesting. I think that one will be very interesting. And the bad news for the US over the last 14 days is a big uptick in the virus again. That's not good. But I'm not talking politically, I'm saying that's not good for the people. I think she's very intelligent, and I think Mike Pence will struggle, to be honest with you. Mike Pence has got a checkered history. We all know that. He's a converted Christian. Hallelujah. Thank you, brother. But, of course, I remember Mike Pence when he was a radio announcer. Do you remember that, Scarlett? That was probably, I don't know, 1990s, I guess. Yeah, 1990s. Mike Pence. He lost several attempts for governor, and then eventually got it, as you know. But he's, like I say, he's sort of, he's not Palin, he's not that. But he's been deliberately picked not to be a front man. I don't think the president's ego would allow it. He'll get hammered regarding the new uptick in the virus. And everyone keeps saying, well, in the administration keeps saying, it's turned the corner. It's silly. But I think he will really struggle. Maybe he could just call in sick. That should do it. Interested in reading. Whether it's true or not, of course, is up to speculation, but President Trump in 2016 apparently wanted his daughter as vice president. I thought that was very funny, actually. No, the numbers are not way down. There's a huge uptick in the US in the last 14 days. Just Google COVID-19 US. You'll find. Well, I suppose I'll give you a better one, Scarlett. To be hit by a meteor, the odds are 44 trillion to 1. We can do anything with statistics. Well, if the CDC is correct, and there are, 7 million reported cases in the US, they've always said you can multiply that by 6 to 7. Don't think that's right, Scarlett. I think you're wrong there. Oh, Mystic's eaten an apple cream turnover. Apple pie. I should put you on camera.
I'll do half of it.
No, the CD has always maintained that the figures of infection you could multiply by 6 or 7. They're just being logical by saying that. It's not as if everyone comes forward to get tested, and those that were asymptomatic probably never even thought about getting tested. So they're just doing the lateral and logical thing, saying, yes, the numbers are 7, but it could be a lot higher. It could be 40 million. But the chances of survival of anyone over 66 in Australia have improved disastrous. In fact, that figure would be the amount 99% that would die. All over the world, people in that age group that have got it have had a very low percentage chance of survival. Yeah, look, I mean, it's something that we're going through, but I love history and I love anthropology and archaeological documentaries and research and peer-related scientific papers on these things. And look, I think the latest one I read from the year 1000 until now, which is about an eon, about 1,000 years, there had been over 400 incidences of plague. You name it what you like. Back in those days, they wouldn't have a clue what to name it. They would have just said plague. So, and most recent history, which is documented, you look at probably from the 1400s to 1700s, and that was the most viruses that caused death and bacteria. We talk about the bubonic plague, but there were many. There was one I read in Scandinavian countries. It was similar to what we would call today meningococcal. Terrible things like skin going black and dying overnight, literally. And I did read this morning very sad loss of a young boy in the US who had some water that was contaminated by amoeba, and it swelled his brain and killed him, which is terrible. And they're warning all those people in that area about all sorts of things. Don't play with the hose. Don't get water up your nose. Probably the biggest killer throughout time, it sounds ridiculous, but the common cold would kill a lot of people in years gone by. Not necessarily the flu, because our generation after generation, we're fortunate to be living in these times, because, as I said, there's been hundreds and hundreds of different bacterial and viral infections on the planet. So our ancestors, if they survived all those, have handed us that defensive DNA. But the bugs keep developing. Of course it is. When you read journals from different parts of the world at different times, because the basic things that we know today, like we have antiseptic, they would have had it as far as bush medicine, but not in the quantities that we can get our hands on. So like I say, like by social, no one in the 14th century did social distancing. If everyone in the town got bubonic plague, they would just leave. They created the biggest social distancing you could ever imagine. They left. Well, I think your genetics and the DNA handed down by those that survived different things certainly is what we have as weaponry. But the planet keeps changing. I did read about a week ago that 75 Americans will not take the virus because they are not confident. Sorry, they're not take the virus. They've taken the virus. They're not going to take the vaccine because they're not confident in the fact it's being rushed. People are smart, you know what I mean? Like, I'm sure if someone knocked on your door and said, we've got the vaccine, give me your arm, Skull, you'd be saying, hang on a sec, what are you talking about? Yeah, this thing sort of works, apparently, and you've got to have it. It's mandatory. I'm sure that Skull would reach for a long rifle and say, well, I'll tell you what, we'll negotiate here. You get off my land and I won't shoot you. No one's confident in things that are an unknown. You had a check-up yesterday. Good. But like I said the other night, people are confident. If you have a headache, most people go and take a paracetamol. I lie down, turn the fan on, make the room dark. That works for me. But a lot of people are confident in taking paracetamol, anti-inflammatories, certain blood chemicals that help, and so forth. But they're now 50 and 60 years in the making. The confidence in using them, even though a lot of them are dangerous, is there. But a vaccine being rushed and basically people saying you've got to take it, no, there's going to be more than 75% say no. It's like, I tell you what, most people say after 12 months and no one develops an extra leg and arm or their liver comes out through their nostril, maybe we'll consider it. You can't, look, most vaccines, we talk about rubella, we talk about measles, these were 20 to 30 years in the making. This has been rushed and there's a lot of dollar value involved here. But my country, if there is a reduced vaccine that works, no one pays a cent. In fact, all vaccines here are free anyway. I think what I would suggest to you, and not because of your age, is hunker down for winter. Maybe buy up a little bit of extra tucker, food, and do what you need to do, because it's going to be a winter of discontent, believe me. Stock market's going to go kathump, no matter who's president. She's all coming down. Good. It'll be a good winter to do so. If you get your family near you, that'll be even better. 7 months of winter, my goodness. I think we have about 7 weeks at best. It's incredible weather here at the moment. It's not hot at all. This time last year, if you looked on some of the videos of us working around the house, it was 100 degrees and I was sweating my box off. It's like 70 degrees. Well, you should have lots of preservatives, bits and pieces you've harvested. I made pasta again the other night, but I didn't video it. I should do one, because it's so simple. You like living like a monk. Kung Fu monk. Yes, it's very good. Meditation is superb. And it can be anything you can meditate to. Yes, and if you do meditate, your creativity is enhanced. No question. Your thoughts are clearer. Your tolerance is much higher. I can't even pronounce that word you started with C. Connectedness. What the hell is that? Grounding I get, but connectedness. You've just added another word to the English dictionary.
I stick up my keyboard.
But you don't do all that at the same time because your fingers would be all twisted. Write's good. I don't know if you've ever written a book. You're connected to the universe. Well, it's expanding all the time, Scarlett. So your connectedness has to increase. You're published. Let me guess. The Life and Times of Donald Trump by Scarlett Pop. No, I'm only kidding. I like writing fiction. I've always been a storyteller. Family history, that is good. See, at 66, it's not old, but I think as we get older, and I'm the same, I try to make my time and spend it well, best I can. Yeah, I think, I'll be honest with you, no matter what you write, and I'm sure it will be valuable, but I'm sure you would agree with me, your artwork will live on probably for centuries. It'll be one of these things, if we get into a little time bubble and go forward 300 years, you'll hear a member of your family say, oh yes, my great, 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 great grandmother did this. Now, your writings will be appreciated by the family, but I'm telling you, it's your artwork that will live on. And so it should. I think Mystic and I have a similar philosophy. The only thing we want to leave behind is footprints in the sand, because they're soon washed away. It's perspective artwork. If your son thinks it looks like a large pizza, that's okay, but you see it differently. It was funny, we were sitting inside probably 6 months ago, the house was only part finished. We had a big plastic sheet at where you can see these French doors, and the light that was coming in, I kept sitting there saying, can you see that? And I was given all these scenes that I could see. She's saying, oh, I can't see it, but I could see it clearly. So it's, everybody's got a perspective. I'm going to call Evo tomorrow. We'll see when he's coming out to have a look.
Oh, yeah.
For the front cast iron panelling. You found another painting I did, not like that. Said it was one of my best. Yeah, see. Like we're going to, actually you said we might get in ahead of other people with some sort of balance. The Museum of Perth has been closed for 3 years.
Yeah.
And it's really fascinating, and we might be able to get in there early November, maybe. We're looking forward to that. Yes, it is. That's exactly what it is, in the eye of the beholder. I like museums, and if anyone ever goes to the UK, I went to the British Museum in 1966, I think. I'm not sure. We'll ask if we can do some video, but you know, museums are a little bit particular. But we went back to the British Museum last year, basically 50 years since I was there. And I remember it was just unbelievable. I spent all day there as a kid. We spent all day there, and we only saw maybe half, really, at least. You need a few days. Of course, we're a bit of, like I say, archaeological, so we went straight to the Egyptian and all that type of thing. That was wonderful. Saw the Rosetta Stone, the real one. So it was really enjoyable. So we like that sort of thing. I imagine the same, yeah. I know that I've never been keen to go to France, but I'd go there to the museums they have, for sure. And Italy is a museum. If you go to Rome, you're looking at a museum. Yep, I've always followed documentaries regarding the Museum of Natural History. just fascinating to realise that people were no different than we are. Technology was different. People were creative, artistic, brilliant in many fields, and if we went back in their time, we'd be so humbled. Our homes are our museum. Well, you sometimes change homes, so what happens in homes is history, family gathering and such. Do you have a piano, Scarlett? I feel I'm walking into your observation room and there's a piano and bookcase. Yeah, that'd be cool. See, I'll be honest, as I'm getting old, my eyesight's not as good as it used to be. So reading books is a bit difficult. Not impossible, but it's a pain in the ass. A baby grand, I thought you did. Kimball. In most, even poor UK houses, there'd be an upright piano in most houses. When you think about it, it was their stereo, their entertainment. And I remember gathering around lots of them when I was a kid, sing-alongs. A grand Steinway, oh now we're talking class. So even in 1960 it would have been worth a fortune. We've got a Stradivarius, not made by him, but one of his understudies. No idea what it's worth now. I had a friend that used to work specialising in delivering pianos. Man, some people pay huge money to get pianos delivered. We're talking cranes, carpenters coming in, ripping out whole windows. He had a team of all sorts of people. And some people wanted pianos in the weirdest places, like the 34th floor. So it'd be a massive crane. We're talking probably 80,000 just for that. But if people have got unlimited money, it doesn't matter. Yeah, they sort of come apart. They're not a flat pack pianos, but they do come apart. You can take the top off, you can basically take the guts out, all those sort of things. But most people, with a lot of money, just want it lifted in. I think, I do remember a guy saying he did tune pianos, and he said, to be honest, minimum 3 months, and less if you're playing it. He's saying maybe every 6 weeks. Sound of a grand piano, or even a baby grand, is just magical. You can't replicate it with an electronic device. I take a particular liking to Celtic music and the rhythm of it and the playing of fiddle, violin, bass, drums. It's just very instinctively animalistic type music, which everyone just can't help but tap your feet. Yeah, that's true. Most baby grands and grands, usually in big houses, probably near or down the bottom of, not right next to, large stairwells where there's that chamber that goes up and stairs going either way, because that in itself is an auditorium. It gives it that real resonance. It's like the creativity of builders, building churches like hundreds of years ago. They knew all about that. They knew that if they created chambers above where the priest was speaking, it would sound like he had a megaphone, but it was based on the actual acoustics of the room. Okay, I got that at 84. What's the 16% you're not telling me? Alien? I'm just kidding. Well, then all amongst that, you have to be Celtic in there as well. Yeah, you're talking probably, your ancestors probably were Scandinavian, European, and then into the Mediterranean, which is pretty common. Your sister got the blonde hair and blue eyes. Oh, you got the blonde hair. Yeah, I'm blonde too. You've seen me. I'm definitely blonde. Actually, I think in the aspect of the spectrum of light, all eyes are the same colour. I was the only one in my family with blue eyes. My mum had blue eyes. Her grandfather had blue eyes. I think everyone else had brown. So we've got more gardening to do tomorrow. I bought some more stakes for the tomatoes, some more soil, got outside tables, little glass ones, they look pretty good. Well, I'll ask her to tell you, but as the, Scarlett says, was your hair always curly?
Yes. But sometimes you couldn't tell because of the way it was cut.
She looks like a little lamb.
With wrinkles.
All right, an old you.
Yeah.
My hair was very, very curly when I was younger. Got a photograph of me when I was about 14. It looked like an afro, didn't it?
Yeah.
Bo Peep. I think she'd slap me if I did that. She is a doll, yes she is. She's very pretty, curly hair, angelic, but you cross her and you will die.
Yes.
It's not that cold tonight, really, is it? I don't know what the temperature is. Oh, it doesn't
A
say.
little bit cold.
17. The Germans are no different than the English. In many aspects, the Germanic tribes are all the same. I mean, if you look at the royal families, my goodness, Russia, France, England, Germany, Spain, you keep throwing them in, Holland, they're all interrelated. Yeah, well, maybe early on it was bad, but they actually got into the groove about the 1600s and decided, yes, my daughter should go to Spain, crossbreed, if you like. Yes, Habsburg chin, yeah. And it's like haemophiliacs within the royal family was quite common. That was probably due to, like you say, too much close breeding. Yeah, that's the one I just said. Haemophiliacs. You nick them and they bleed to death. They can occur in anyone, but it's usually due to having a disorder. But if you're born with it, that's a totally different thing. Like in most people's cases, when they need to thin their blood, they'll use something like warfarin, which is in fact the same as rat sack, but it does thin the blood. Yeah, and I know a lot of royal families, they didn't say it, but lots of them had bruises all the time, and that's usually because of haemophilia. You don't just bleed on the outside, you bleed on the inside as well. I think it really does boil down to selected breeding. You know, you used to hear the words if you read books, and it would say, our daughter must marry the second cousin who is in line for, because they used to do it for, let's be honest, for land. It was to do with land, you know, and stop wars. That's why German daughters were married off to French or Dutch and English because they worked on the theory, well, if we're related, we're not going to go to war. That didn't work out too well. It's pretty much a fact that the English always hated the French and vice versa. It doesn't matter who you're married to. A lot of people don't realise part of France was part of England. And then, of course, all of England was part of France at one stage. Probably the weirdest time to have lived would have been like if you were in a country at the time when the Romans came. They changed everything. They were smart. They made the people, the leaders of certain countries, the leaders of the country still, but under the guise that they were part of the Roman Empire. It was always a clever move. Didn't always work out well, but far easier to have their own people rule. You only have to go back 8 generations and we're all going to find royalty in our families. That's just how it is. We don't have the crown jewels to prove it, but that's how it works out. Henry II. Well, one of my ancestors opened up Canada. But I didn't get any of Canada. I didn't even get, like, Ottawa as a gift. Nothing. Yeah, King John was a strange character. There's been some unique leaders, call them kings or whatever you want to call them. Well, the Magna Carta was written about 9 times. But that Magna Carta, if you were back in those days and brought it up to today, they'd say, what are you, a unionist? It was weird, King John. He just did shit. But there's been plenty weirder than him. Well, there's a lot of idiots as king. We were watching a documentary the other night about the Mad King. But you'd have to ask the question, but you'd have to ask the question, which Mad King are you talking about? But everyone that gets to the top in any field, doesn't matter King George, yeah. Mad as the Hatter. They all seem to take on, even in governments all around the world, the mannerisms of a king, even though they're only a premier or a president or a leader. It's like China at the moment. I have no doubt that in the mind of Mr. Ping, that he thinks he is the new dynasty of China, the 2020 dynasty. So we're all going to end terribly badly in China. I wouldn't be surprised. Maybe not in our lifetime, but maybe another revolution in China. I mean, we've got to be brutally honest. Democracy doesn't work that well. It works, but not that well. Authoritarian countries don't work out well at all. The history shows. Oh, I don't think ousted. I think just broken up. See the empire building at the moment. It's very obvious. And what happens to empire building is you do get to be an empire at a certain stage, but the bigger you are, the harder you fall. And the people of China are very different and diverse in different parts of the country. And I would bet in little huts, little fire going about this time of night, they're talking about this country's buggered. We've got to do something about it. Revolutions normally start around a kitchen table. Did you know that, Scarlett? People sit down and talk. Capitalism doesn't really work. Socialism sort of doesn't work. There's no formula. But if you're given a choice of living under Hitler or a socialist state, you take the socialist state without much arguing. They're not going to get anything from China. They're not going to give them any money. It's not going to happen. Even under rulings, it won't happen. Yeah, it's a bit low, down to 30. What's happening all over the world is isolation, or nationalism, if you like. People are realising they can't rely on a third source to provide. So there'll be a bit of a dramatic change over the next 10 years. I think we'll be getting a lot more products from Thailand, India, Korea, other countries like that, because those countries are agreeable. They don't dominate and demand and threaten, because that only works to a certain extent. But China, like I say, is on the edge of something. I think that the expectation to keep empire building just can't be sustained. And then he'll look weak. And Chinese don't like weak leaders. Oh, India will be supported. There's already trade talks with India, with Australia over the last couple of years, to basically move away a lot of importation. India buys a lot of our products. The one thing, if it happens, that where consumers don't buy their products from China, that kills China. The only reason China has got so big so fast, and basically has outpaced the US at about 20 to 1 each year, and just about to pass them as the world leader as far as the economy goes. They only exist because of consumerism. That's it. We don't manufacture it, they do. We buy it, adds to their wealth. Australia, America, the UK, lots of countries have got to start manufacturing again. Yes, it'll be more expensive at first. But all these countries have done it before. And we know what it's like and the pride that you get from buying your own products from your own country. So that's the nationalism that's taking place due to the fact They don't like being bullied by China. And they tell little tales like they'll say Australians are racist against Chinese, don't go there. When in fact we have over 1.5 million Chinese already living in Australia who just look at it and go, what are they talking about? So, yeah, no, that's not true. And they now putting tariffs on this, that and the other, and they're playing games. They will lose. Australia, as small as we are, will just say, shove it up your bum. We won't buy anything from you. Oh, you still want our iron ore, copper, nickel, lithium? You want to, no, not giving any meat or wine. Not going to sell it to you. If we have to lower production for a period of time till we build it up with other trades, yeah, that's okay. That's how Australians think. You should never bully us. Doesn't work. All right, you go and get your eyes fixed. Make sure you get it fixed before 9 p.m. tomorrow night, your time. Keep an eye on Sleepy Joe, Mad Don. I can preempt it will be just attacks from Donald Trump and some facts being on the table by Biden, which we'll just call fake news. That's fake. You haven't paid any tax for 10 years. No, that's fake. But you got to laugh when he said in the same breath, no, that's all fake, that's not true, and they gained all the information illegally. That's like, well, isn't it fake? What does it matter if they gained it? Well, you're saying it's real then, because they gathered it illegally. I found that statement just weird. On one hand, it contradicts the other. But you have a good day, Scarlett. We'll catch up with you later.
See you later.
No, you don't. We'll be speaking a different tune right about in the middle of November, after you recover and come from under the covers. Have a good day. You should only love those near and dear to you, Scarlett. I'm sure people love Caligula. I love Caligula. He sleeps with a horse. I like horses.
You got the hiccup.
Oh dear. Well, we might knock it on the head, I think, surely. And a good old chingwad with Scarlett. No one else seems to be stepping up, and that's okay. Nothing wrong with that. I'll give it another minute. And then I will shut it down. Yes, close it. Hiccups seem to have gone.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, they're still there. Oh, here I am. All right, we may go toodaloo. There's the boss. If anyone's watching, she's saying good night, but she's got hiccups at the moment.
Yeah.
And from me, good night.